Hey! Welcome back to the worst Need for Speed ever, the series where we play the Wait, this isn't right. Welcome to the best Need for Speed ever! The series where we play what the community believes to be some of the best Need for Speed games ever made. Yeah, after playing so many bad games, I needed a break. If you're interested in watching those videos, you can click up here, so you can be redirected to that playlist and see it for yourself. Good luck! But to those who are still with me, welcome! If you didn't know, I started streaming games that I'm making videos on here on YouTube, so if you wanna come around and hang out, make sure you turn on the notifications. I usually stream around 1 PM CAT, and I'm still not sure about the days, but you'll get a notification for it anyway. Oh yeah, back to the game. Need for Speed Underground is probably the one I had the least experience with. Growing up, I didn't have much time to play this one before I got Underground 2, and going back to Underground 1 really felt weird to me after playing the second game. So that's what we're doing today. We are gonna go back to the original Need for Speed Underground and see how it holds up. The game starts with a cutscene that looks exactly like what happens in Too Fast, Too Furious. Because it is exactly what happens there. If you didn't know this game takes some big inspiration from the series and car culture from the time. We start racing on our Acura RSX just to be awakened by Samantha, because apparently we were daydreaming. She tells us about the other races and asks which car is your car, which, well, no matter which one you pick, she always says,
"Ouch, that is seriously weak, dude."
She also introduces you to Jose, and from there you start racing and climbing the ranks. I'll take a minute here to talk about the graphics and art style of this game, because wow, this game aged extremely well graphics wise. There were places in this game that left me legitimately impressed with how beautiful it looked. While you do have some textures and places that don't seem to have received a lot of care, other places look really great. This Chinese district is so short, but kept me leaving a great impression on the graphics on this game. Sometimes just seeing the building in the background and seeing the diversity they had on tracks was really awesome and something you don't see a lot anymore. Not having an open road made so they could focus a lot on every track they made, and the result really shows. Cars still seem to hold up pretty well, looking just like their real-life counterparts. And the cars are also something I believe to be one of the reasons this game was so iconic. Dodge Neon, Acura Integra, Nissan Sentra, Hyundai Tiburon, cars you wouldn't really see in any other game because, well, who would wanna race in a Peugeot 206, right? Well, apparently everyone. And that leads us to the next point I gotta make. Customization. One thing I believe didn't age very well was the customization in this game, but that's not the game's fault. Just like in real life, looking back at what used to be cool is really weird now, but at the time, it was sick. You have a huge selection of bumpers, vinyls, wheels, colors, neon, hoods, roof scoops. That wasn't a common thing at the time. I was happy when games used to let me change the color of my car. Having this much freedom to make the car you wanted was insane and it really shouldn't be overlooked. Of course though, again, it is a bit hard to make a decent looking car for today's standards. Especially at the beginning of the game. It really does take a lot more than I expected to unlock stuff. I was almost halfway through the game until I could choose between more than 2 bumpers for my car. But I still rather have a slow progression than no progression at all. Forza Horizon. During the livestream, I was challenged to make a good looking car for today's standards. And it is possible, but I think you don't have a lot of choice when it comes to that. Of course, they couldn't see the future, so I can't blame them for not having things we expect to have today. I just thought it was funny to mention and see how much car culture changed in the last 20 years. Yes, Need for Speed Underground is 20 years old. We are getting old. The music is another thing that is amazing in this game, and still holds up extremely well. I didn't play this game that much as a kid, therefore my nostalgia isn't the same as other Need for Speed games. But after a minute paying attention to the graphics, the music would pull me out of it and force me to jump to whatever song was playing. Static X, Rob Zombie, Junkie XL, the list goes on. And I swear, there wasn't a single song that I wanted to skip while playing this game. Even if I wasn't that much of a fan of it, it just fit the game so well that I couldn't bother but to get into the vibe of it. We joke a lot about how bad the soundtrack in Need for Speed Unbound was, but in the other hand I see a lot of people downplay how good the old ones actually were. It is the same that happens with the series itself, with people on one hand saying that Most Wanted is the best game ever made, and no matter what EA makes of Need for Speed it will never be good for them. And in the other hand you have people acting like these games weren't good, it's just nostalgia talking. I would advise you to take a listen to the soundtrack yourself. There were songs that I didn't even remember were in the game, and it definitely put a smile on my face when I heard them. And while I wasn't drooling over the graphics or music, I was talking about the gameplay. I still believe this era to have the best arcade physics for racing games, and this is the start of my evidence for it. The gameplay feels tight, driving around feels extremely satisfying, especially when you get a good racing line going on. And again, mixed with the visuals and music, it is almost a perfect experience. I say almost because there were some small things that I have to talk about. Starting from rubber banding. Rubber banding is a feature put into racing games that acts exactly like that, a rubber band. If you are too far ahead of your opponents, the rubber band stretches and tries to go back to its original state, making the cars behind you go way faster than they are supposed to go. I still feel like there's a problem with this game though, because the rubber banding doesn't only activate when your opponents are too far behind you, but mostly whenever it feels like. Look at that, that's insane! The difficulty in this game is mostly based on that. While you do have to avoid traffic and get used to different tracks and their shortcuts, well, some shortcuts. Oh my god. Okay. The rubber banding is what actually makes some of the races really hard and unfair. I found that the best tactic to win races later in the game is to get a good start and just do your best not to let other people pass you. If they do get past you, you're better off just restarting the race because it's almost impossible to catch up. But again, it's almost a challenge if you get good at this game. It is really hard to explain, but it almost had a satisfying feel to it when you finally beat the challenging cheating opponents in the game. The game has circuits, sprints, drag races, and drift races, and every one of them felt really tight to play, besides drag races, but that's because I really sucked at them. Not only that, but everyone seems to agree that the AI in drag races just cheats most of the time and randomly decides to let you win from time to time, which is funny, but kinda kills the whole idea of trying to be better than the others. Drift races, however, I felt like they were a bit too easy. Let me remind you that I streamed this whole game, and sometimes I was simply reading chat at the time and hitting walls, doing actually terribly, and still, somehow won the races. It was a bit more difficult in the beginning because you start with very slow cars before you can really upgrade them, but by the end of the game it just becomes extremely easy. And then the sprints and circuits. One thing I didn't know is that there's one car that everyone agrees to be broken in this game. I didn't finish the game before, so I didn't even get to play with every car, but when I got to the RX-7, oh man, it is a thing of beauty. It handles so perfectly that you feel like you changed games and didn't even notice. It really destroys every other car in the game, so if you were to play some split screen with your friends, I would advise you to ban this car so you can keep the game fun for everyone. The acceleration, the top speed, the handling, it's unmatched. But then I also tried it in drag races. It was also broken. Then I tried it in drift races. Well, I don't know if it's broken there because it was already pretty easy, but it probably is. In the end, I love this game. The progression can be pretty slow and the AI can be frustrating at times, but the game itself is actually so good that it almost forces you to overlook those problems. I can easily recommend this game for most people, especially if it's been a while since you played this one. Don't let the lack of an open world stop you from trying it again. You will have a lot of fun playing it. I'm just not sure about recommending it to people who might be new to the series. It can be a little bit too frustrating and maybe push you away from the series if you get too mad. I guess we'll have to wait until Underground 2 to see if that changed. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much for everyone who showed up to the streams. I will start streaming here on YouTube on weekdays while I play through the games I'm gonna make videos on, so make sure you turn on your notifications so you can catch me live. And thank you so much for our new members: Fef, Alex Maris, Vicarious Nick Gaming, which you should check out here on YouTube. He's a great friend of mine and has a channel focused on Twisted Metal. It's really fun stuff. Colis Channel, Yasin Peterson, Flame101, Kaiki Januar, Iruamu Kashid, and Simotaku. Being a member is the best way you can support the channel right now, so thank you so much to all of you. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care!